Welcome, everybody. Episode number 13 of the latest. I do love, Brad, how I'm in, California, in between LA and the Silicon Valley. You're in Toronto area. I know Niagara, I can see the snow and all the stuff happening in between. And
Yeah.
if you go the opposite way around the world, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, last week with DeepSeek, it was just like came out, just so much to talk about and explore, and you get all the experts that know it all right away. And then as we dug in deeper on Saturday, I just thought that was interesting. And open models, right? Open source
Mhm.
models of AI, we're going to see so much. How was your week?
My week was good. I like doing the latest podcast with you because it forces us to say things out loud. And if you remember from last Thursday, we talked about the Chinese models. Nothing against China, I use Chinese products, but we talked about the specific Chinese model, DeepSeek, that became the #1 app on the App Store. And if you remember, you said, "What about you, Brad?" I said, "Right now, I'm going to hold back." I was like, "I'm holding on for at least a week." And then it seems like it's a good thing because whether it's true or not, a bunch of news has come out around it that makes you question if you want to use it. And it's like, is that the truth that they got hacked? Is it the truth that the government's going to fine you if you download it? Whether or not that's true, what is true is that someone is putting out in the news not to use it, which to me is a sign. Because if it's a comparable service, why am I using the one that might come with risks, that might come with data breaches, that might come with a stigma? Even if that's a campaign against it, it means that someone doesn't want you to use it. And the other isn't true about OpenAI. No one is ringing the alarm on OpenAI to the same level, to the same degree.
Right. It does kind of feel too, because I remember when OpenAI first came out with ChatGPT, and some of the talk was, why did they release it so quickly? They should have waited, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then that drove Anthropic to get Claude out, and then Amazon to invest, right? And it just kind of pushed all the LLMs to get stuff out. I feel like it's a similar type vibe now with DeepSeek, because we it just seems to be pushing innovation, and as companies want to slow down on some things, a smaller company creeps up to them on them, and whether it's in China, which there's all sorts of stories behind DeepSeek, and was it 5 million or 6 million, whatever the number was, that was
No
for
way.
the
Yeah.
last week, right? What are we saying it was? Is that the last upload?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, they were talking about, I think you might have brought up that the hedge fund managers, I guess, that own that and that used all the data to educate the model, the plan may have been to short Nvidia stock to raise a bunch of money because they knew that would affect Nvidia. So who knows? I think we're still in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think there is a whole world out there of things that happen, whether you know about it or not. And I think that's one of them. But everything I know from what I've read says that you're right. $5 million was not the cost to make it from scratch. $5 million was the last squeeze of lemon on top of the dinner. You know, a little bit of zest. I don't believe when I read that the people made these things for $5 in a song. But I don't know. Maybe. I mean, even if that's true, you're facing the avalanche of marketing. Like you have to go out there and get people to care and use it and all that comes with it. So, with that being said, I'm using ChatGPT. And as I said a couple of minutes ago to you before we hit record on our live stream, um, I'm now using ChatGPT's upgrade the operator mode. And if you want, we can have a look at it.
Very excited about that, Brad. So please take over. And I love it to be doing this with you because it's like, okay, I can deal with these six things going on in AI this week. You've got the other six covered. Hopefully, there's only 12, but there's usually more.
Oh yeah. Now
So,
there's so much more. On Monday night we went over a bunch of software, and there were some we didn't get to that I'll try to squeeze in here today. Um, One of them is like, I mean, I'll just go over to it right now just so we can look at it. It's pronounced wizard, but it's user interface. User interface. Zard. I've heard people on YouTube call it Wizard.
And
Uh, we'll just look at it to see what it can do before we get into the big stuff. But essentially, you turn your product idea into a concept instantly, so you can visualize, communicate, and iterate it. Um, so it's like an auto designer, right? As we can see from the animation, right? You say, let's make something great. You type in what you want, and it makes like the visualization of it, like a banking screen for a money transfer. And look at that. They've made it for you. So if you know what you want your product to look like,
wow.
you can make it for you. Now, it might not be perfect, but it's going to get you a lot of the way there. And I think you can do at least a decent amount for free. It lets you choose between mobile, a tablet, and the web. So that would be the layout if it's rectangular or square, etc. Um, and then you can generate screens of what it might look like. And then themes, which is the color patterns. The blue, white, and black would be the theme of this square right here, right? Just because sometimes we get so deep into computers, we don't start with the basics. Usually the theme means the 3 or 4 colors that you use consistently throughout. Always white for text with this font, always blue for accent colors, always black for backgrounds, or whatever it is. So I think you can generate themes, which means you don't have to know colors. You can get the wireframe. And again, for the new to these kinds of terms, the wireframe is just like if you drew your website with a pencil. You're like, this is a rectangle, this is a box, that I want a button down here. That would just be the wireframe. So this tool, user interface wizard, lets you just type in, I want, a pet food store with a checkout for a free pet wash and a bag of dog food. And like, it lets you just type that in. And as you can see with the banking thing, if you can picture it and put it into words, I think this app will put it into visuals. It might not make the website immediately from it. It might not, but it might. But it seems like we're headed towards this world where if you can type it, you can have it. Right? So
Wow.
like, I think some of these websites, it was like if you had a spreadsheet of your, let's say you're a restaurant, if you had a spreadsheet of your menu, you could give it the spreadsheet of your menu. It was like a chicken shack. It was like, we have chicken, we have, salad, we have sodas, we have vegetarian, and then it would like make your restaurant menu for you. And it's not limited to restaurants or menus. It's just helping you understand that any set of information can get turned into what you traditionally think is a website with a couple of clicks. So the automation era is here. People are going to be leveling up their business game. And one of the tools that I'm excited to show you is Operator. So
Can I,
Operator,
can I just ask one quick question
go
about
for it. Yeah.
with some of these, right? Are these just prompts? Is there, right? I use Gamma, right? We talked about Gamma, other things like that, which are great. They help us with shortcuts. That UIs are phenomenal. But are these just are these things where we could just create the same thing in ChatGPT or Claude or whatever LLM of our choices if we want that rich UI? Or is it, right? Is it like a framework to help us do things, or have you even dug into it that deep?
Say more.
Well, in other words, with companies like UIZard,
Yeah.
which is amazing, kind of brings me back to like the monster template days. Maybe that's a little different because here you can create it. But is this just creating what I can do in ChatGPT? If I use prompts to say create a UI that does the banking application as an example, or is there some different technology? You may not have looked at it that deep, and sometimes as a user, we don't even know.
Yeah. Well, let's see pricing. Because sometimes when you look at the pricing, the features will tell you what it does, right? So if you want the free version, you get unlimited free viewers and commenters. You get 3 generations a month. So I think you only get a couple of cracks at this thing,
Right.
right? You get 2 projects and get some templates. But if you start to pay, because I think it's one of those things like show up and do it for free, and you'll know right away if it's for you. And I consistently tell people, like, even at $40 a month, I cannot imagine 4 years ago when I was doing a different project with a different website, getting away with $40. Like I spent $40 on lunch to have the meeting to think about what I should do.
But then
right?
hours doing it when you do this in 5 minutes, right?
Exactly. Like, so don't think like, oh, every month it's $40. Think like this website or this app is going to solve my problem in 30 days for $30. And I would love for that to be the case. Like, I I think we talked about this recently on a different channel. 4 years ago, I got a website done. I paid $3,000 and thought it was a bargain, right? And then my most recent website, which I think I'll show you guys here, brainjuice.live. I made for $3.95 and it took me about 20 minutes, right? And look at this. It's got animation, the live pops up. There's hot links to Alan and my LinkedIn. I've got cool fonts, and Alan made the same Canva-based website. We use Canva, right? Uh,
But Alan can't even, isn't Alan's LinkedIn full? I still can't get through to connect with him.
yeah, I asked him
It's a
to
great
let me in.
time.
He
I
pushed
know,
out a couple of people. He's got 25,000 people on there.
right? Because I can't get with Alan. We had such a great time in Vegas, and I think that so his LinkedIn's up there. But I love
Yeah,
what Alan's doing. I'm actually speaking to Julie later today too, so that'll be good.
nice. I'm having lunch with him. So,
Oh
so
yeah,
Canva, for people who don't know, Canva, again, it's a software that you can pay for. But it's so worth it because you can stand up a website in like 20 minutes. I didn't really want to log into my Canva, but you can go to Canva and create a website. And it was super easy. Like to connect your website was like one click, like literally one click. It was like, do you have this website? Do you own it through GoDaddy? I said, yes. It says, did you sign in there with Google? I said, yes. I clicked the Google button and said, do you want this website published? I said, yes. That was it. Like it was so easy. We showed one recently with Gamma. I also like, they're different things, but I also like the Canva to make a website. It was super,
that's
super, super easy.
that's fairly new, Brad. Right? I haven't.
Fairly new. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So the thing with Canva, maybe we should try one here. Let's see if we can create a design. Oh
And I just
no,
wanted to track because I do want to make sure we have plenty of time for operator because that was so cool. But just you showed me some UIs art I did not see because I was out a little bit on Monday. I got there late.
I didn't get to it on Monday. I didn't get to it. So
Oh,
so
okay.
I clicked create a website from blank. Right. Let's say we want this red liquid one. Right. This. Do we want this one? Sure, we do. Right. Whatever. So if I wanted to publish it at the top, it says publish website. Right. I would click publish website, and here's where it's a really simple interface. Like I think our viewers get the idea that through Canva I can like put the images, put the videos, put the links. It's pretty standard. Now I can resize it for mobile. See, it already knew I was on Brain Juice, right? So it already has my URL.
Right.
Um, but what I can do is I can create that subpath. So it's like /home, /menu, /contact us, /about us. You can make that subpath, that /whatever yourself. And then I could password protect it. So if I wanted to make /secret project and it was, some project I'm pitching that only the right people need to know about, you could do that too. So I can get a new domain, which is like what you purchase from GoDaddy, right? Or wherever, from Google, Squarespace, Wix, whatever. So you can bring your own domain, connect from a third party, right? So I would click continue. You can buy one for 25 bucks. You can get one from GoDaddy for like $1. So I entered Brain Juice, right? Brainjuice.live. That's what it was. I've already connected it, but essentially you just click that one. And what else do I have? I've got like overview entertainment back on, right? So let's try that one. I won't actually connect it, but I'll show you guys. So I would review the steps, right?
Right.
And then there's a couple steps here because I've got some complicated setups with that, but it's super easy when you're just getting started, right? You just click that, and then you get your website URL, and you can put your website descriptions. We're going too deep on this because we got more exciting stuff.
Right.
Canva now can do your website. The websites look good. They're super easy to do. I'll open that back up and show. You
Yeah.
can basically just grab the handle. Sometimes you look on websites and there's that little white bar there, often called a handle. If you put your mouse cursor on the handle, you can just make a bigger web page, right? And if you want something different, you can add another page. I could change the background to be a different color, or I could put a different background in like this, right? And I can make it look like fire.
That's
And
amazing,
I
Brad.
can stretch it. So anything you want that Canva can do, images, etc. Um, and then you get the idea. You can just make websites with Canva. It's
No,
pretty
I
cool.
love it. And Brad, for all of the listeners out there, right? And back in the web day, and as the tools have matured, back then, I'd hire a technical person to do it, or just somebody savvy with design or UI. So I think it's yes, you can pay somebody to do it. We have resources here. Reach out to us if you need stuff done. Brad's phenomenal building these things easily. You can come to some of our sessions. We'll get you upskilled. We have trainings around these things. But I think now it's really, I think we want people to take ownership because they're the domain experts. They know what they want and what's in their head. And I think if there's one thing the AI tools do, and as we move forward in the future with all the new jobs and everything that's happening, become AI savvy because now you can leverage your life experiences, your domain expertise, and not have to be reliant on a engineering team or an IT department, right? I mean, I just think that's incredible. So thank you, Brett.
Yeah, so that is Canva and websites. This is the website we did. And I mean, like, I just did this just as a landing page, just to have a place for our Monday's Brain Juice. It's just a place to land. Gamma can do websites too, and nothing against the Gamma websites. What I like about Gamma websites, David, is that Gamma websites let you track viewers and visits and know how far they scrolled. So if you're testing something out and you're like, I want to know where people's interest is or isn't, Gamma's the place to be. And again, if you're testing something out, it's like $20. Like, just reel back the clock 4 years and think it was thousands and thousands of dollars to get these things done, and now it's $10 or $20. So what does Wizard do? I think the more you get faster brand, you get brand kits. I think it's just a much easier interface. Like you're right. Probably if you're a super master of these other tools, but for 30 or $40, you're going to get your brand kit. And
No, it's a no-brainer with the pricing, Brad, right? I mean, I just think with these, now they can add up, but again, and I love what you said earlier before we jumped online. Just look at your hours every day, every month when you're paying for these tools. Make sure you're being in action and you're making, 5x of what you're paying.
yeah,
Or
so
the numbers
I
are.
have not. Alan played with this. It looks like it's out of Miro Labs. That's news to me. I wanted to show this, but I think he played with it. Um, it seemed really cool. Like I think this is the kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
all of a sudden, whatever you're designing looks great just from prompts. You
love
can
it.
turn a screenshot into an editable user interface design. Like this is the kind of stuff where like if you're doing some kind of dashboard or something like this, you can change your customers and the incomes. And they just took a screenshot and turned it into a movable, workable, app or user interface. It seems really cool. So let's catch our breath here. We're going to turn the page and check out Operator. So Operator's from ChatGPT. If we look real quick, ChatGPT Operator. So it's brand new, right? I think it's from whatever that is, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
In AI terms, that's not super new, but it's still pretty new. Um,
Does seem like a long time ago, Brad, since this came out. It's like 2 weeks. Oh my God. I've
I
heard
know when the whole NVIDIA thing happened and a bunch of hundreds of billions of dollars changed hands, etc. Um, I wanted to get to OpenAI's page here. So this is it's a two-in-one. If you're a pro user, which again it costs a couple bucks. But as I said to you before we started the YouTube, I'll say again, if you're doing a task 20 days a month, which is Monday to Friday for all 4 weeks of the month, because these are monthly subscription fees. If you're doing something that you were going to pay an assistant or a teammate $10 for 1 hour, 20 times, right? And then you get this to automate that. in the first 5 minutes of the day, it's paid for itself. And now you've got the rest of the month. Like it really is a mindset that you think, if I was going to have a business expense, this is the better use of funds. So Operator does two things. It does deep research and it will use your computer for you. So those are two separate things, but you can use them together. So it's an agent that will go to the web and perform tasks for you. So it can look at a web page and interact with it. It'll type, click, and scroll. So it's got limitations, but it's in research preview. So I think once they roll this out properly, it's going to get much better. So this is what people mean when they talk about agents, right? So it can handle a wide variety of repetitive browser tasks, such as filling out forms, ordering groceries, creating memes. So what I want to show you here is what they're suggesting you can do. So here's the suggestions. Find a sushi restaurant with high ratings for reservations tonight for 2 on OpenTable. So OpenTable is already an existing database, and they're trained. The ChatGPT operator seems to be trained on OpenTable, so it knows where to click. But here's the cool thing: you can show it what to do. So if I said, like, let's go to ESPN and check last night's scores. Right? I've never seen this done before. Let's find out. So here's what happens, right? It's operating a browser. So it opens up a Chrome browser on the ChatGPT servers. So it's not happening on your computer. I'm just watching this. It went to ESPN.com. And I think I've seen other people, Gavin displayed this too. You have to put your hands up in the air and go, like, I'm not using the computer. I'm not touching the mouse. I'm not touching the keyboard. My hands are in the air. And this thing will do this. So here's the cool thing. I can take control, right? This take control button, I can do this. Now I'm operating the browser on the ChatGPT server. So that means, like, this is me at my desk operating a computer window somewhere else. So I like hockey, and David, you like hockey too. So I'm going to go to the NHL, right? And that's all I'm going to do. Just going to click NHL. And see at the bottom, it says you have control and it says finish up. I'm going to click finish up. And I'll say, I clicked hockey. I like hockey. Right? And then I'll return control to the operator. So you can correct it. If you're watching it and can't quite get it right, you can just take over, click the thing you want, and click done and be like, I want you to do that now. So now I can say, stick to hockey and tell me what's new.
And I'm sure it's going to just learn and get smarter, Brad, right? From what you like.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, is it learns and gets smarter.
Oh, Kings. Kings won last night. See, I didn't even look at that yet. Okay, good.
Yeah, see, we're Kings fans, right? I used to live a couple blocks from Staples Center. When it was Staples Center, it's no longer Staples Center, but so this is what's cool though, is so you start to imagine the ability to set up some task, right? And then just go over to the next browser. You can set up another task still using your operator account, because as I understand this, it is not using your computer RAM, right? It's not using your computer memory.
Right. So it's dialing in to, right. That's interesting.
So now I can say, here we go. Look at this, the latest news. So here's the Peterson 6-year extension with the Canucks. Smith returns to the Blackhawks. The league is appealing a suspension. Sid Crosby got an injury. He's been having a killer season. He's a point per game player for his 20th season, which is just outstanding. Ovechkin is on the race for the Gretzky goals. So what I could do is I could say, can you send me this in an email? Right? So this is where you start to layer these things in, and you can start to stack it and then go, it says, I can draft an email for you. You can provide the recipient's email address. So what's an email address I can send you?
You can send it to david@witty.com.
Okay. So it's going to draft an email. And I think once you get this set up, you can give it your email. You can give it your LinkedIn. The other day I gave it my LinkedIn, right? Because I've watched other people do this. So it's going to gmail.com. I think it might ask me to sign in. Oh my gosh, it's signed in as me. Holy. That's interesting. Ah,
And you never, oh, and maybe because maybe you did log in with Google as your way to
yeah.
get a chat GPT, I mean to get an operator, maybe.
So I'm going to monitor this task.
That is kind of intrusive though, that they would save that.
Wow, that is 100% my email inbox. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a second because I don't know who else has emailed me and they don't want their email on the screen. Um,
Good, because you know what I would love to see too, Brad, that I've been thinking about with this stuff. Who are the probable winners for tonight's hockey games?
yeah.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Now you talk about monetizing to get the monthly paid for. That could be a unique way to do it.
So I clicked control. I'm gonna let this continue here, right? I'm gonna keep my hands up above the keyboard here. Um, like I said, just to respect other people's emails, because you don't know that someone was like, "Hey, I didn't want that on blast that I sent you." Whatever. I don't know. So you can screen share this because this is going to send this to you. So it says the draft of the email. Would you like me to send it now? I'm going to say yes. So you should now get an email if you want to screen share that. So that has now sent you an email that I didn't make, but I made. Right. So now imagine as you start to get more comfortable with this tool, you could email the news to your people. You could email facts to your people. You can take these operator tools and say open up a spreadsheet. I watched a YouTube video of this the other night and it said open up Google, make a spreadsheet, and it said take all this research data and put it in a spreadsheet and then go to that spreadsheet and then summarize the spreadsheet and then send the spreadsheet somewhere else. It's important to think, even if we ourselves aren't going to use these layers or these workflows and methods, it's important to know that they now exist. It's like saying cars now exist, and someone says, you can't get to, Seattle, it's going to take you all winter. And someone's like, no, there's a car. You could get there in 3 days. And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to drive for 3 days straight, but it's nice to know someone else could. So it's nice to know that for the effort it takes to go to Fiverr or Upworks, the websites that let you hire people on an hourly basis or a task or project basis, for the cost of the project, you could probably put up a $50 bounty and say, could you do this for me for $50? You don't have to get the subscriptions to these tools. You don't have to. You could just say, like, I would love you to automate my newsletter for my business, or I'd love you to automate, like, whatever it is you're going to automate. And honestly, you're probably better off getting a professional because what is Ken's? I've heard people say, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, or
Right.
Ken has a phrase.
Uh, um, uh, let's see,
It
amateur,
costs a fortune. Yeah, there it is.
right, right. An amateur costs a fortune, an expert, I don't know. Yeah, something
An
where,
expert, an expert costs a lot, but an amateur costs a fortune.
right, you pay for what you get.
You pay for what you get.
Right. And if you're thinking about opportunity costs, and right, I mean, I think it's similar with yeah, just some of the job search stuff we speak about is companies, are trying to save on people, then job openings are staying open and then they're
yeah.
missing opportunity. Now,
So
yeah, anyway, please. I can't open mine on Gmail. Let me just verify that I got the email.
yeah, that's what I wanted to see that you
And I
got it.
wonder if you see it in your sent folder within your local application.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that I can.
I got it. I
You
got it.
got it.
It's NHL News 7:07 California time.
Right. So that's really cool. Like once people get their head around that these tools exist, now it's like, okay, there's so much you can automate.
Right. And could this just be, could I just have it if I have an email list, right? Or are you using some of that for like brain juice? I get those great messages from you that are just to me in my WhatsApp, which I'm assuming
Yeah.
is you do it through anything.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that I've used all that.
So the next layer of these tools is that you can use make.com, I think it's Reliance AI, and Gum Loop. I have not used any of these softwares. I just know they work. I know they exist. So that's the caveat. Don't say, oh, Brad said it works. Brad says they exist. I can't promise that they're great, but from what I've seen, they work and they work real well. You can connect them to WhatsApp because I watched a video where this guy used the voice feature on WhatsApp. So here's the stack. He was on his desktop, which is your laptop, not your phone. He had the WhatsApp communication tool on the desktop. WhatsApp has like a voice feature. He set up through these tools. He clicked the voice feature. He spoke out loud and said, book a flight for my mom. I think I showed this on Monday night on Brain Juice, right? And then the workflow was that WhatsApp took the text, sent it to Operator. Operator performed the action, search for a flight given this person and their location. It took that information, it brought it back into WhatsApp, and it sent it to the person. So it was doing like outreach through WhatsApp, automated, and all this guy spoke out loud was like, hey, send this person this information. And like just click the button. So that is kind of mind blowing, but it's coming, you know. Um, I don't know. That's a lot for
And
today. We
no,
can
no,
do deep
that's good.
research another day. There's a
I
lot for.
will, I will, yeah, we'll do research next week. I do think though that, there is like lack of trust, or is there trust, or, the Salesforce commercial, because you opened with open table where Matthew McConaughey's sitting out in the rain because he didn't use the right agent, right? So I think we'll start. I don't know if you've seen that commercial. He used,
Oh,
right,
okay, that's
right.
funny.
And then
That's funny.
across the street, oh, I guess he used the wrong agent, I think was the point of that commercial. So we're going to see a lot of that. And I think, hey, it's the time is here and we're going to move very, very rapidly this year. Um, Brad, thank you. And then the one thing I was sharing too that people may want to learn about is just the flow to grab all of my calendar data for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, show this. This looks cool. This looks super
Right.
smart.
And I
This is
can't,
so practical.
right. So what I did was, I wanted to grab I was having a little issue, but first I wanted to just grab all my calendar data, right? I have certain goals, and am I taking my, using my time effectively every week? We had CES and then I got COVID. So I kind of started it after that was over. But then it was just go to Outlook Web, click on the settings, right? Anything, just ask that's another thing. Remember just to ask ChatGPT or your LLM what you do. Don't stop to figure it out. How do I do it? It's so easy this way. Anyway, opened up the ICS file, uploaded it, then just I did eventually get the ICS file.
Which
Just
is like a one click from your calendar, right? Like you just click download ads.
right, download it, dragged it in, and then eventually I was able to upload the ICS file. And then here is I can't. There's some personal info on there, just confidential. Here it is. Now I'm going to grab it, create a just a chart that I can look at. How am I using my time? Where's the revenue this week? What have I done to further our goals? So that's really been helping us. I do, and I know you do. We both have a lot going on. Different companies I'm advising for. What am I doing with WITI expansion? How are
Yeah.
we finally? How are we going to continue to grow and get back on track with our training and stuff, which I've been thinking a lot about.
So you made like an accountability tool.
Right. If I want this, these are my goals by April 1st, let's say.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Why am I having one meeting if that has not in alignment with that? Right. And I kind of I look at my week like kind of like an airline, like a flight from LAX to JFK. Some seats, we might even have some promos. Maybe they're just bets on the future. I'm going to spend some time on that or to support some people. Some of them are first class tickets. So if I'm taking time to help a client, I need to be paid top dollar for that. and then some maybe, driving revenue in other areas, whatever. So that's how I'm trying to really look at my week. I think I'm going to give that analogy to ChatGPT, which I hadn't even thought of yet, and then plan out the week, right?
Yeah. I
Find
think
out.
I think it's super smart, David, because there are so many blind spots in our work week where we're busy, and then someone shows us, why are you doing this 10% of your work when you're not, like, you could make that 20% of your work. It's working for you. It might show you what's working for you that you're not thinking like, oh, I could do more of that. That's what's working.
Yes. And thank you. I'm going to give a shout out to Chuck Dublay, who pushed me to do this. And I'll post some things about his latest newsletter today on my LinkedIn because he's a genius. You know Chuck, right? Do you know Chuck?
Not that Chuck. I know a couple other
No,
Chucks.
he used to be in construction. You probably met him. Anyway,
Maybe.
we
Yeah.
will talk. That's the latest. And we'll be, and we're going to have another month's worth of stuff next week because it's so dense now. Right? Is it the week is the new month? I don't know. We'll come up
Yeah.
with a saying that'll stick.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was great. I've enjoyed another episode of the latest with you, David. It's always great sharing to our audience what we're seeing and what we're doing and what's working. Um, it is a marvelous time to be using computer software, and I continue to be impressed, and I feel like this is just a fraction of what I've seen this week.
Yeah, and thank you. Thank you and Alan for UIs are because I think that my mind's already racing on how I can use that. Have a great week and